All right, it's close enough. It's 5:59 and a half. So I'm gonna call the meeting to order for 6 o'clock, which just turned 6. Okay, and the PRC attendance, we have Mary Ellen, Sarah, myself, Tim, Don, and Winnie here. And I believe that Brendan couldn't make it. He had some obligation. And Missy can't make it. She's at the Lime Art Academy with their program or something. I see all the cars over there. And I'm hoping Ryan, are you out there? Well, Ryan said he's going to call in, so maybe he'll be with us soon. But we have a quorum, so we're good to go here. And the first thing is approving the previous meeting minutes. I looked at the meeting minutes, and the only thing we have to change, Mary Ellen, is it said 2/6. It was 3/6. It was last month was the third month of the year. 3/6. So you got that?
I did. I mean, I caught it.
Okay. So anyone else have anything to say about the minutes? No? Looks good. Would someone like to make a motion with that correction of the date?
Sure. I'll move to approve the March 6th meeting minutes.
Great. Okay, second. Okay, Tim seconds. Any more discussion? No. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anyone opposed? No. Anyone abstain? No. Okay. We can move on. Okay, the update of the PRC programs and facilities, Don and maybe Winnie, you're going to contribute too. I don't know, but you guys are on.
Okay, I'll quickly go through some of the stuff.
Anybody need a?
I'm good.
Greg, do you need an agenda? Okay. I forgot. Anybody? Yes. Jim. Okay, Winnie. Okay. Go ahead, Don. I'm sorry.
Okay. Our adult volleyball program just wrapped up March 28th. That was very successful, I think. Again, there was 38 participants registered for that. Our winter session of Zumba toning wrapped up April 2nd, and the next session is scheduled to start April 16th through May 28th. Adult basketball, the high school for Wednesday evenings and Sunday mornings is continuing through June 16th.
Oops, somebody's on there. Ryan, is that you? No? Okay.
Hey guys, yeah, it's me. Sorry.
Oh, good. Okay, so Ryan's here too. Good, thank you. Go ahead, Don, I'm sorry.
The women's open gym basketball program started February 6th and was scheduled to run through March 26th, but it was well attended, and we've decided to extend that to June 3rd. And there are today 20 participants registered for that. Adult softball program is scheduled to run April 14th through June 9th at Townwoods Park. Teams will be formed, game times will be determined, and we'll update once we get those things determined. Our summer day camp is scheduled to run June 24th through August 2nd at the high school. Again, Monday through Friday. Camp is open to Lime residents 5 years old or entering kindergarten through 12 years old. Registration is closed, and as of this morning, I think we have 282.
283 with 10 on the wait list.
283 with 10 on the wait list.
That's the biggest one ever, right? What was it last year?
It's the biggest one ever. And we're probably going to let the ones on the waiting list in. We're making those decisions now. Our aftercare program runs the same time as the day camp, from 2 to 4 p.m. That registration filled up in 10 minutes. There are 53 as of this morning with a waiting list of 18. We're trying to figure out how we can accommodate those folks as well. CAF soccer camp, previously reported, that will run August 5th through 9th at Townwoods Park. Pickleball. We are currently offering open play pickleball court times daily from 10 to 12, that's from 6 to 8 p.m. On April 13th, we will host 2 clinics. A beginner's clinic will be 9 to 10:30 a.m. That's Saturday, and the advanced clinic will be 10:45 to 12:15. And the senior center has reserved reports on Tuesdays and Thursdays going forward from 1 to 3 p.m. for their seniors. So pickleball's getting a lot of work, gonna get a lot of work down there this spring.
No, I think that's great, especially in the state of the senior center to have that. That's great. And they're gonna take over all 4 of those pickleball courts? Okay.
All right, summer staff. We've been going through our summer staff, and I believe we have at least a day camp settled from knowing what we need. Emails have been sent to new prospective employees to confirm their availability. And those who are unable to be hired at this point have also received emails explaining that. We will be sending emails to prospective CITs, and I'm guessing that we'll have all staff completely determined by mid-April next week. Facilities, the water at Haynes Park, Townwood Park, and Cross Lane Park buildings has been turned on. The cleaners have completed their initial cleanup, and the cleaning schedules have been determined for those 3 facilities. We are awaiting satisfactory water test results for Townwoods Park and Haynes Park before we're allowed to open the buildings to the public. White Sand Beach bathroom will remain closed and water off until later in spring season. Since the last Parks and Rec meeting, the docks at Haynes Park were placed back in the water, and the Lima Lime High School spring rowing session has been in progress. Currently, there are 3 confirmed events at Haynes Park for the high school and 1 for the main Continue my discussions with organizations, outside organizations, Connecticut River Lacrosse Club, Lima Lime Soccer Club, and Lima Lime Little League to discuss and make sure we're on board with their upcoming spring season use of Townwoods Park, Cross Lane Park. And that's it for my update on that stuff. As far as the next item, the budget planning update, new pavilion for White Sand Beach. My Parks and Rec budget, I presented it to the Board of Finance on March 12th. It was presented, reviewed, and accepted by the Board of Finance on that date. Parks and Rec operating budget, which does not include director or assistant director salaries, was approved for $259,390. Townwoods Park budget was approved for $146,560. And then there's another line item there, Parks and Rec other, which I really don't have much to do, but I don't have anything to do with it, but it's in my budget. $28,722 was approved. $24,722 of that is for the fireworks that they have, and an additional $4,000 which they use on Memorial Day. One thing that should be noted on the budgets was that the sewage control line items, $10,000 at Haynes Park, $3,000 at Cross Lane, and $5,000 at Townwoods Park were removed from the budgets by them, pending further discussion with the Board of Selectmen and the Parks and Rec Commission.
Okay, I was told by Martha that the Park and Rec had $30,000, which I'm hoping to use for security cameras and some other things. That's not in that budget?
It's not in my operating budget.
It's capital budget, in the capital budget.
We didn't do capital budgets.
Okay, I'll have to make sure that that's the case.
As far as the White Sand Beach Pavilion, I'm not sure what you want to know about that. I can give you what I heard. When I wasn't at a meeting, it was decided that they would put aside $95,000 to remove and replace the pavilion at White Sand Beach.
How much?
95,000.
95?
Yeah.
Okay.
With, a concrete base and a structure on top of it.
Now, I just add, being my wife's on the zoning, ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals, and has dealt a lot with FEMA compliance for things on the shoreline, that would require, according, do you know this, more than just concrete?
I'm going to say all that.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought you were finished.
So that was decided at a Board of Finance meeting, and I was told about it after the fact, and I was told that we had to get this thing done hopefully before June, and that created a stir. And then it was discussed, and it was finally decided that money, they were gonna take that money out of surplus. Then when they found out the zoning issues and that type of stuff and all the requirements for
FEMA.
shoreline stuff,
Yeah.
it was decided that they would put the money in the budget, into the budget for next year. So starting after July 1. That's as far as I know about it.
Into which budget, Don? Parks and Rec or the town?
Probably just a Parks and Rec capital item.
Okay,
They were gonna take it out of surplus and do it now. And then they regrouped and said, no, they weren't gonna do that. They're gonna put it in the capital budget for this current budget, well, July 1.
okay.
One action. It's not been approved by the town yet. That's all I know about that.
Yeah, because, you need to have that thing anchored, it might have.
I get it.
Yeah, there's lots of things,
We don't need-
because,
I don't think we need to discuss all that tonight, Bob.
well, okay, yeah.
It's a year away at least.
Yeah, no, yeah, okay.
That's true, all
But
those
fe-
requirements.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of requirements because it's called a high-velocity flood zone. And I saw the high-velocity flood zone, that area last night by White Sand. Did you see the ocean, the sound last night? There are waves. Thank God. I would just like to thank Public Works for putting the big mounds of sand there. Because the waves, if those mounds of sand weren't there, that would have been right into the parking lot. I mean, that was a great move by Public Works to do that. It was kind of wild with all that wind and the water was breaking right onto those mounds. Okay, Don, that sounds good. Anybody want to question or ask Don anything or make a comment? Ryan, you have any comments?
No, I think it's a great update. The thing about the goose mitigation, I don't know what else needs to happen with that. Did they give any indication of what discussion needs to take place for that?
I think Sarah's going to provide that information a little bit. That's on our old, it's on the agenda, so we'll get to that. We'll talk about that because I learned some more about that. So, okay. Anybody else? No? Okay. As I sent around to everyone, I was asked to be at the Selectmen's meeting on Monday at 5:30. I attended that, and prior to that, I sent around a summary of the park improvements Haynes Park improvements since 2012 up to the present that everyone on the commission received, as well as the selectmen. And they were very thankful for that, to get a history of everything that's been going on down there. And I think we're in a good frame to hopefully, within the next year, getting most of what has to be done there done. Okay. Next thing is, as I've mentioned, it's been discussed so many times here about the security cameras, and Martha's been aware of that ever since she became a select woman last year, now first select woman, is that there is a need for the security cameras, an alarm, connection to the fire department to be located at the bathhouse. Now, we had Comcast actually hooked us up for that, so that I'm hoping that what Martha told me was that there was $30,000 in the budget for next year's budget to take care of some of these things. Well, I'm hoping so, because we had a estimate 3 years ago, and it was like $25,000. We had two people bid on it. So it's a considerable expense to get this hooked up, and also I think there's a fee for every month that you're hooked up. Comcast is going to charge the town. And now whether that's for the security system that they're talking about for this cloud to get better resolution for security cameras, which I'm all for, but I also heard, and I mentioned it in this, that I heard that this may not be done until the senior center is completed, to be hooked up to, and we all know that that's kind of behind schedule. I mean, and we're hoping that they can get approval to accept one of the bids. But I told Martha and others that this is a top priority for Haynes Park because of all the vandalism that's taken place
But is
there.
this gonna be all part of the big picture eventually, the townwide?
Yeah, yes, and that's what I asked. Could we set up a security camera system with maybe 2 to 3 cameras so we could have a sweep of the park, we can have one at Future Pavilion, and we can have one looking at the Playscape, which is not, that position's not changing. It's where the old playground was. And Martha told me she's going to speak to Andy Russell on the IT committee, as well as, I guess, Tom Meyer. If we could install something that could be adapted to this cloud later on when this building will be covered, or like a lot of different things in town.
Now, will that phase pull in the boathouse then, or will this, what we're gonna hope for, will that also include?
No, the boathouse,
They
a couple
already
years,
have something.
years ago, I was in here somewhere. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, Ian said that they didn't need cameras. That originally we were going to put cameras for the boathouse, but because of the alarm system he has there, they weren't interested in the cameras. But it might be not a bad idea to have just a sweeping camera that would get it in there every once in a while. But cameras for the boathouse were not required, Ian said, because of...
Who's Ian?
Yeah, Ian's the superintendent.
Oh, thanks. Okay. Out of context,
I know, you kind of knew, so,
Yeah.
you know,
No,
but
I know who he
this
is.
is, you know, this has been going on a long time, but, okay, that's Ian. All right, so, hopefully, that $30,000 I'm hearing about could be used for that. And also, maybe there was in the 2021 budget, there was $16,000 for a fence around Haynes Park, but since everyone started talking about the fence, we have not noticed people parking there, and at least we haven't noticed as much people driving through there. Some people used to drive through there, and especially in the winter when they try to do with ice and all that. I guess we don't have to worry about too much ice anymore. I don't know, but anyway, so we have $16,000 in that I was hoping maybe we could reallocate to go towards security cameras and some other things that we may need. But this is something that I have to talk to Martha and the Board of Finance about. So hopefully there's going to be $30,000, and if we can reallocate $16,000, we'll probably be able to do most of this with the security cameras and
The alarm?
yeah, that's
And
part.
that would include the monthly fee would be, we don't even know.
I don't know if that was a monthly fee for hooking up the whole town or just hooking up the bathhouse alarm. Currently there's no alarm or hookup to the fire department in the bathhouse, because that's what we tried to do several years ago, and then it was said, no, we're going to go to the cloud. But we've been talking about this for almost 3 years now, and I'm hoping we can do something with it this year. Anybody have any questions on that? No? Okay. All right. Survey drawing for Haynes Park. Well, at the meeting on Monday, Martha and the other selectmen, Jude and Jim, said they would like to see some sort of drawing to be placed somewhere in here that would show what's going to take place, some of the bigger things at Haynes Park. Now, Sarah, you can comment on this later, but I did send around to everyone, let me see, the satellite pictures, and I have a couple copies here that we could just the Google satellite pictures and where this is on Google of the park that has all the improvements to date on it, the boathouse, the basketball court, the new bathroom facility. It actually has the bollards and the expanded parking lot. It has where the playscape was. This was taken in 2008. No, this is 2022. This Google shot. Okay, and I was wondering if we could have it blown up professionally, and then on the second page that I handed around, just more of a close-up that shows you more about where the playscape area is and where the swing set is. And the swing set area is where we got approval by the inland wetlands to put a pavilion in there. And I also have which I think I sent to everybody today, the schematic that they took one of the old, they being inland wetlands, took one of the old, I think 2017, oh here it is. Did I send this to everybody today? Yeah, I sent this to all people today. And basically it shows where this was the site where the pavilion was going to be between the boathouse and the parking lot, the handicap parking spaces, which is on here. And basically they got approval by just making an arrow and putting the area at the swing set of where the pavilion would go. The selectman wanted to know, and I said, well, there's a record of it upstairs, and I got it. What was used by the inland wetlands to approve this site. So this site's been approved, and this was, a lot of times you take older drawings, and people like inland wetlands, they just mark up the older drawing, and then it's sufficient for moving things around.
And that's the most recent that we have, right?
This is the most recent that we have, yes, the pavilion location. Now, this did not have the sidewalk on it, the sidewalk from the handicap spots to the boathouse, which was required by the state, that the boathouse had to be totally handicap accessible and have parking, but we put the parking in. Phil and his bathroom committee, that came out of that budget, put that in, and even though it looks like maybe that sidewalk, that's not the sidewalk, but that's where the sidewalk is, right next to the basketball court. And this is why I thought this might be valuable, this Google shot, because if we get maybe a blow-up and a better resolution, we could do something similar to what a place like Inland Wetlands does, and just draw a box, which Don submitted something similar to that already, put in a rectangular box of where the 12 by 22 foot pavilion would be. And I believe what was drawn on this, because the pad, the concrete pad, or whatever is going to be the base of this, then would have to be 24 feet by, I think, 14 feet. Because, you got to have a little bit on the side in order to anchor the thing in. And at the last meeting, we talked about maybe we could use, which, if anyone wants to see what it looks like, stamped concrete that they put a finish on, and we have a stamped concrete pad in the field house at Townwoods Park. If anybody wants to see what a stamped concrete looks like, it looks pretty nice. It's just not regular brushed concrete. And because it's underneath a roof, you really don't need a permeable surface on that, because there's a roof over what you're doing. And it looks pretty nice. But that's something we can decide on. I think at the last meeting, I asked Sarah what you're thinking about putting, what other thing besides a concrete base. And we talked about pavers, but but that would really increase the cost, probably double of the $6,400 or something just for a concrete pad. But that would, of course, cost more if we do the stamped concrete and the coating on top of it. So that's just, if anyone wants to look at what stamped concrete looks like, please go over to the field house.
Can I just jump in with a quick
Sure,
update?
sure.
So, as you may remember, back in November, we presented the report
Yes.
of recommendations from the Haynes Park
Excellent
Management
report,
Committee.
yes.
The third priority on that list, and one that was phased ideally for completion in the fall, was development of the master plan. And fortunately, since the last meeting, I was able to meet with BSC.
Yes, yeah.
They agreed to provide a rendering pro bono.
Beautiful.
And they indicated that it wouldn't be a heavy lift, and they do have a number of drawings, including from 2015, which we recognize doesn't have the current bathhouse, certain sidewalks,
Right.
certain things, but they are able, during our Zoom meeting, they pulled up Google Images. So you mentioned blowing up the Google map. I think they're gonna work from that
Yeah,
and work with the lines on the various drawings that we have to update those drawings. And then
Right.
they've asked for us to provide dimensions of all of the structures that we're proposing to add as
Excellent.
enhancements.
excellent.
So I'm just gonna work with Don to make sure I have the right playground structure, for example, and you have the pavilion structure.
John?
With Don.
Oh, Don,
For the
yeah.
playground structure.
Yeah,
The bulkheads. So what they basically asked of us is to give them the inputs that they need, which is those dimensions as the first thing. And then the second thing is plotting out, like I had Eric Olson print out this, which I thought was the most sort of up-to-date drawing, where we can mark it up.
right.
And then I can go deliver it to them.
Great.
In Glastonbury, and then they'll do a digital rendering. So the more input and fidelity to what we think we want to do as far as placing of things that we can give them, the better rendering they can deliver. And obviously I agree that if the scope of the project expands, then we'll address costs at that time. But as an initial put, they felt like they could do this. in
That's
two of our-
that's such wonderful news.
Yeah, so that's great. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we can move quickly, in the next couple of days to try to work together to map out where we think things should go with the inputs of everyone here. And I would like to try to reach out back to the committee and just make sure that we're all aligned.
Okay, great. And I think what we should do too, because the guy who knows the most about where a lot of this stuff is and submitted plans for the sidewalk and all is Phil.
Yeah, exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would be the most important guy
Yeah, I
to
agree.
get a lot of dimensions from, and he did submit took one of the older BSC plans and submitted more detail about the sidewalk and
Okay,
everything
yeah.
else. And he's got all the stuff on the handicap parking
Yeah.
yeah, so I think, and Phil has been very good. I've been talking to Phil lately, and he is a great volunteer.
Yeah.
Because now he's officially a volunteer, and he worked well with you guys on your subcommittee.
Now-
So I would say let's get him involved, and if there's going to be some sort of meeting, I certainly could make myself available. And if somebody like Greg or somebody wants to go to this too to talk about it,
Yeah.
be good. Now, as far as the bulkheads are concerned, I think we talked about it in the past. It would probably be best. I mean, we can put an approximate position at this time, but
Yeah.
it would be best if and when dredging has ever been done.
Yeah.
Now, Martha told me that Bonnie said that dredging was done there, but it's not really dredging. I think they even did it this year.
Just scooped out some leaves.
They scoop out some leaves. Yeah, that's not dredging, okay? Now,
Can I interrupt for a second? Missy wanted me to tell you that she's on the phone now.
Oh, great, Missy, great. How was the art show?
It was very good, thanks.
Okay, good. So I think that something like that would not be done until the dredging,
Okay. Yeah, it makes
was
sense.
done. So
Yeah.
we could put a proposed spot for
Yeah.
for the concrete bulkheads.
Right.
But what makes sense is to do it if and when we have dredging. And we haven't had that lake dredged, Don, in at least 30 years, right?
It was done when I first started.
Yeah.
I don't remember what year it was.
Yeah, it has not been done. And right now, because the prevailing winds, and also stuff that washed down from the previous boathouse driveway, which didn't have the 1.5-inch lip or the 6-inch rise, so water was just coming down, and first onto the basketball court, and then Phil changed the contours so that it just didn't go on the basketball court, but that was just also coming down right into the lake. So, we could do all that, and I think let's meet and get Phil at this meeting.
Okay, I'll send around some suggested
Yeah,
times.
and we can sit down sometime that most of us couldn't make it and try and do that. And I think that's great, and Sarah, you're doing a wonderful, wonderful job. How do you like being a chairman of a committee?
Well, my honest
You don't want to answer that? Okay. All right. So, security cameras, survey drawing, we've kind of discussed that, and this is great news that we're going to have BSC put in most of what we can add to what was previously done by them. Anybody else want to say anything about that? No? Hearing? Huh? No? Okay. We'll move on. As I said before, the pavilion site was approved, and with the current swing set site, and at the last meeting we talked about a base, maybe stamped concrete, which can be viewed if you go to the field house at Townwoods Park. Do you have any other things to say about the base?
The only thing I'll say is that, as you know, the HPEC report suggested a permeable surface, but we're trying to meld that recommendation with the need for this area to be handicap accessible and durable. And I don't know if anyone has a better suggestion than concrete at this point, because like wood chip surfacing, for example, I don't think would meet the ADA
No, that wouldn't
issue.
work.
But I haven't come up with another.
And I said, like, a permeable surface, if you have a roof over, there's not going to be a lot of water coming onto the surface, so it's not really necessary. And, as I said before, the inland wetlands, we talked about what we were talking about putting out there. They were aware of that, a concrete pad underneath the pavilion, and that was fine with them too.
Great.
So, unless somebody has a better idea, I think the stamped concrete will look the nicest. And also, at the ADA path, if you look at this, it's hard to see on this, but the bollards where the expanded parking lot is, there's a entrance right there that would go right to the swing set site, which is about here, and that's about, we marked it off the other day, about 50 feet. And I think it's 60 feet. As long as you just have 60 feet, you don't have to have a turnaround for ADA or anything like that. It's a little less than 50 feet that would go from here to the pavilion. And from the opening at the end of where the bollards are, to where the playscape site is a little less than 60 feet. So you could have a path, an ADA path, at those two locations to there, and maybe if we wanted an ADA path between the pavilion and the swing set site pavilion and the playground, if somebody from there wanted to walk over. And we talked at the last meeting about using reinforced turf, which we'd want to install probably in the fall, because if you do it right, and I think they have one of these in the back of the high school, right, Don?
Yes, they do.
And you could grow, we already talked about that the best time to grow grass is in the fall. That maybe we could do that.
Yeah.
And so reinforced turf looks like
It just
a nice
looks
way
like
to...
lawn,
Huh?
but it's not.
It looks like lawn if you do it right,
Yeah.
okay? That's on, I have that on the agenda, ADA path. And then, of course, the handicap tables in there, please just everyone look on the internet for handicap ADA picnic tables.
Well, Missy was researching that too.
Huh?
Missy was researching
Missy's
that.
researching it, and Missy, one of the questions we had for you, would one ADA table be enough? And
Yeah. Yep. So I brought it to the ADA commission and they said that one, like, to the best of their knowledge, one is absolutely fine.
Great.
But they did give me the number for, like, the Connecticut ADA to just call and confirm with them, which
Yes.
I'm not sure we have to do. Part of me feels like it's opening a can of worms, but if you guys think that we should, I will gladly call them tomorrow
I
and
don't
confirm.
think,
But
everyone here at the table, I don't think it's necessary. If one is enough, then you would just get, they have basically two types, the regular picnic type or the circular ones. And the circular ones, you can even get ADA one spot on like circular ones, and then 3 spots, and you can get either, the spots on the side will be for 2 people or 1 person. And this way people could sit and watch kids in playground, and rather than having a traditional picnic table where you have to kind of pick which way you're going to look. And I think it would look very nice. Now, price-wise, when you say ADA, price of these things go up, and so those go in the range for nice ones that I've seen anyway, between $1,000 and maybe $1,500. And of course, if you didn't have the ADA type table, it's several $100s less.
are you talking about, sorry to interrupt, Bob, are you talking about like a wooden table or, the plastic?
Well, you can get wooden tables and all, but they have really nice ones that are metal. Or the really nice ones I saw when I was down in the Florida Keys are concrete, but they're really expensive. But this is why I'm saying that please, everyone, look at ADA tables and see what you like. Okay, everyone on the question, please do that, because there's so many different types, and because we're not even close to doing that yet, but we should plan to do that. And Missy, that's really great news. We only need 1. Thank you for finding that out and talking to the ADA people.
Yes, absolutely, no problem.
Okay, that's great. And anybody have any other things to say about that ADA path table, part of the pavilion? Okay, I think we're pretty good on that. Okay, the next one is Playscape at the current playground site. Well, that's really just a different thing that's going on there, rather than the old equipment that was taken down because of potential danger of some of the parts being very old. Right, Don?
It's been taken down for quite a while.
Yeah, okay. So that should be no big deal, and it's nice that they're going to work pro bono, and we'll just get the dimensions that Don and we have from the playground equipment that we picked, the Playscape we picked, and I believe it was $68,200 that was going to be allocated, and we have the funding for that. So the Playscape is fully funded. The pavilion is fully funded. So I think we're good once we have this done, that to satisfy Martha and some others or whatever, to have some sort of place here, everybody could see it. Okay?
Yeah, that will help for sure.
Okay. All right. Anybody else on that? No? Okay. Now,
I don't know if I had to add new business. I wanted to ask about the monkey survey.
Well, let's talk about that as new business. Okay. The next one is, and this was great news to hear from you, about the goose nuisance professional that may come next week.
Okay, yes.
If you could explain a little more about that.
Sure. So good progress on that front. I spoke to, finally, the Department of Environmental Protection in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And he had some great resources and referred me to the Federal Department of Agriculture Wildlife Services Division in Hadley, Massachusetts, which covers our jurisdiction. And what the Federal Wildlife Services Division, this is their work. They work with municipalities, private organizations, the whole gamut, with respect to specifically this issue among other issues. And they offer services to advise on myriad strategies dependent on what the town is interested in and the scope of the issue and the place of the issue. And they do this for a charge, obviously, but they're also federally funded and state funded. So the discussion kind of landed with the fact that there's a technician who could come out as early as next week. I'm still waiting to hear from him as far as potential times and dates.
Great.
To do a walkthrough, not only at Haynes Park, but I also mentioned Townwoods, because I know that Don had put in the budget. And then what was the other place, Don? It was 10,000, 3,000, 5,000, was One Cross Lane?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
I was requested to add $3,000 for cross.
For Cross Lane, okay.
And Don's house, the permanent ones live at his house too.
Right. Well, actually, the wildlife expert mentioned Cross Lane because when we were talking, he pulled up Google Maps and he was just like, "Oh, you might have a problem over there too with that pond." So I can mention that when the technician calls if we want to try to expand to all three parks.
Yep, and please let us know when this gets set up.
Oh yeah, definitely. He was supposed to call today, but if I don't hear from him tomorrow, I'll follow up.
Oh, great.
To have him come out and to try to get a rough order of magnitude of what something like this would cost, based on what he was seeing and the scope of the territory, at least, without knowing how many geese. He roughly guessed between $4,000 to $6,000 for like a 1-year implementation of this plan, which is typically in the months of, I think it was April to the fall.
That's like his rough estimate of 1 year of
The rough estimate was what?
the plan.
$4,000 or $5,000? What did you say?
$4,000 to $6,000.
4 to 6, okay.
Which I thought was really reasonable, actually, given what we put into the budget.
Yes.
And it's one of these things where it gets less expensive over time because the earlier years of implementing the plan is going to try to thin the population, and then you just do maintenance when you get it to an acceptable level. We talked a little, and we can talk more about this, but we talked about some permitting, the fact that this, because it's a federal agency, they're permitted across Connecticut and federal lines for depredation, but we would want to probably move in the Lake Authority as a stakeholder, particularly with respect to the island.
Right.
And they just have these standard forms where the Lake Authority would sign off on it. And I know that government doesn't always move quickly, but we are in a good window right now with respect to one of the key mitigation strategies, which is egg addling and egg oiling, which this group is starting in the next couple of weeks, given the breeding season, to do that. So if we were able to move this along and use that as a strategy, this is the time to try to get that signed and executed on in order to see results this year.
That would be great. Now, Don has pointed out to me that those islands are privately owned, believe it or not.
Oh,
right,
really?
Don?
Who do we know? Who?
I don't know who owns it.
I'm sure maybe it's in a record here somewhere. So you would have to get permission from who privately owns. Isn't there, on one of the islands you said there's even a little cabin or something?
Oh.
So, and an outhouse, I hope.
Okay. Well,
but anyway.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, okay.
Well, there's a Form 12, and anyone that's an association can sign off, or private owners can sign off. So I guess we just need to find out who to ask.
Right. And that should be somewhere in this building. Someone has, I'm sure, a record of who owns those. islands, because you'd have to get them involved.
Well, now I have a question. The estimate that he gave, does that just include the planning, or does that include?
Execution of it all.
It does, really?
That could,
Yeah, and he said, don't quote me to that, but that's like what he would be thinking of
Well,
for
what-
the Townwood and Haynes Park.
yeah, I think let's get a better idea of what he's talking
That
about
seems
when we
really-
meet with this guy.
that seems really
Because that
hard.
seems very reasonable if it happens, because we were spending a lot more on the collie and the woman that came down there, and basically, as soon as the geese saw the woman's car, they moved. They didn't have to see the dog after a while.
Yeah, and the one thing I do want to just put in people's minds to think about is when we did the report, we didn't talk so much about potential lethal methods, but every person that I've talked to in this field, I talked to like Critter Cop and a bunch of other NWACs, as they're called, they're like nuisance control guys, that the lethal strategies are very effective. So that's just something else to potentially
What's very
gauge.
effective? What type of-
Lethal strategies.
That's when you coddle them, like
So
it
there's-
kills the little things in the egg.
That is actually that's lethal, but considered like more humane. So the other lethal is if you are rounding up the adults as well as potentially goslings, and they take them into a vehicle and euthanize them off site. They donate the meat to food pantries, but I just want to raise it because I don't think. I know it would be something that gets a strong reaction from the community.
Very strong reaction.
So
I don't think
I just don't want anyone to be surprised when they bring that to the table.
And whoever would be the one producing the lethal results would be very much attacked by this community, like this is bad. But I think something maybe if that addling is okay, that's a great idea, because I think we have at least two populations geese. The ones that live here year round, and the ones that just fly through and stop and then go on. And it's just not here, it's everywhere. It almost reminds me of the Asian clams. It's everywhere in every body of water around here and all the other states.
I was just surprised when I was looking into those three items, calling, that they mentioned that on all of them on their website.
Yeah.
So, I didn't realize that was even a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
they go to school in India.
So that's great to know. I think once we speak with this expert next week, hopefully, we'll have a better idea what the strategy can be.
Yeah.
Okay? Anybody else on the goose nuisance business?
Oh, thanks.
Doug?
I want to say Greg actually helpfully put me in touch with a newer resident in town who used to be the conservation manager in the town of Greenwich.
Yeah, she
And-
ran a similar program.
Ran a
in
program.
Greenwich.
Yeah.
Recently moved to town, and she'd be willing to speak with the
Oh, wow.
commissioners to.
Oh, that's great. This is what's great about this community. You have people that are professionals, have to work and everything, or retired people like myself, and they volunteer and they get this. They set up contact. It's what's special about this community, I think, and that's why we like it. Okay. All right. Anybody else but I can't wait to attend this meeting with this specialist next week. And
Can I just say, Sarah, thank
Yes.
you for all your work on this. This is a big problem with the fields. It's not just geese in the lake and just on the beach and stuff. Like, we have kids playing sports, sliding in goose poop year round, and it's disgusting. So I am all for whatever this plan can help mitigate. I think an important question to ask when you meet with him is, if the $4,000 to $6,000 plan includes, everything you just talked about, the addling, the oiling, the lethal methods, whatever, what are the results if we choose like part of the plan and not the whole plan? If they specialize in really helping solve the problem and then towns do half the plan, how effective is the plan? That's just a question I have.
Or how effective was the plan in Greenwich? You say this has been done in Greenwich?
Oh, no, different topic. Oh, same topic, different expertise. I don't know yet what Denise did in Greenwich, but it sounds like she worked with Geese Peace and humane methods, so I'm imagining it was more.
Okay, well,
like,
we can
type-
put this, let this guy that's gonna come and
Yeah.
what else that we know and try and
Put it
come
all
up with a
together.
strategy,
Yeah.
but it's every community around here, it's just not here.
Yeah, it's a great point, Ryan. I've taken that down to make sure we ask about that. Thanks.
Yep.
If I
Thank you.
can, a moment.
Sure.
It seems like any program like this is gonna be multi-phase, and there are many different things.
Right.
Scaring the geese, making the habitat less attractive to them, making Adelaide, all those other things all have to be covered.
Yeah.
Has to happen continuously.
And the strategy will evolve based on the results. Right? Okay, oh, that's great. Yeah. Sarah and everyone else that you've worked with on this goose poop problem, thank you so much. Missy, would you like to say anything?
No, just thank you, Sarah. It all sounds great.
Right, okay. The next one is the idea of maybe something else rather than a foot wash to get the goose poop off the bottoms of feet in Haynes Park. And the reason I looked at different things, I sent everybody this thing. This is not just something like this. Is the durable Durite recycled tire link. It's a mat, it's a mat that you scrape your feet against that could be used for something like this for $136. And if we put it somewhere next to one of the ADA paths or right next to the parking lot, that may be good. Because when I spoke to Phil, he said that the two, correct me if I'm wrong, that two positions for a foot wash that were being talked about would be in the parking lot. And really, then we might lose a parking space, which we can't afford to lose any parking spaces there. And two, that's the black meshing. What do you call it? Meshings, Don? In the parking lot, the black.
Gravel?
No. Millings, yeah. That also would be kind of dirty on your feet,
But that
okay?
thing doesn't have water?
No, it's a
No.
foot mat.
Oh, it's a mat, and if
Oh,
you,
no.
and if,
It's like taking a freaking bath with no water.
no, that would not involve water. This would be somewhere.
Oh.
It's a foot wash without the wash.
Of course, there's the old standby, which is a towel of some sort, or a beach towel.
Or a
Which
cushion.
have this, that would get rid of a lot of it, and then maybe a towel could really clean off. But this is something, just let's talk about it and consider if there's anything else, because he also showed me the other position that, correct me if I'm wrong, that you guys discussed, meaning the subcommittee, was by a tree right by the parking lot that has a little tiny bit of sand next to it. And he agreed, and I think the type of sand that you can use water on, like we have at White Sands Beach, is several feet of sand. It's a great thing to get rid of the water so you don't have mud. The amount of sand in Haynes Park, right where you guys were considering, it's not that much, and it would get muddy. So that this is maybe just another way to look at it to help clean off feet. If we could anchor it in somehow next to the parking lot and maybe even next to the ADA path right by the parking lot, this might be an alternative. And that's why I put down, instead of foot wash, maybe consider something like this. And we could look some more to see if there's even better idea than this. But this was just something.
I guess if that's just for sand.
Well, no, not.
Okay, but
Yeah.
if you have goose poop all over your feet.
But
I
this
think you
is
need-
actually for like mud on shoes, and it's rubber, so it's soft. It's soft. I mean, it's not going to hurt your feet. But this is a heavy-duty one for even if you have muddy shoes. Okay, so if you have a little bit of goose poop I think it may work. Okay, but this is,
I'm a little bit.
I sent everybody this. I sent everybody this, okay?
My Amazon card.
And Don wants me to move on. Yeah, okay. Okay, we're gonna move on. For other enhancements at Haynes Park, the beach cleaning machine, when I gave the selectmen a summary of this, it was one of the last, was the last part of the summary that Public Works Capital, we really support Public Works trying to get a beach cleaning equipment. That's because Don talked to several communities in this region, and that's what the other communities do. They have their Public Works, they have this machine, and the outrageous number that he got, 20-something thousand to do just White Sands Beach in the summer.
22,000.
22,000 seems like an awful lot of money, especially if the machine cost around 80,000. Don't quote me on the price. Around 80,000 or something. About 90. So in a matter of 4 years, not paying somebody else to do it.
That's only White Sands.
That's only White Sands, yeah, because the idea is if we had a machine, we could also do Haynes Park Beach every once in a while. And the other thing is, does it really have to be done every day? I don't know. Don will find out when complaints started coming in.
And you said it works on goose poop.
It cleans the beach. Yeah.
It cleans the beach.
It cleans the beach. We haven't used that machine at Haynes Park, but it picks up stuff on the surface.
Okay.
Or maybe it would also, maybe, if it didn't pick up the actual goose poops, it may recycle it with the sand, so it's not as...
Picks up things on the surface.
Yeah.
And
it churns it up a little bit. It churns it up a little bit.
Okay.
So, we're letting the selectmen know that we would really, the Park and Rec Commission has talked about this at the last meetings, is really in support of getting this machine.
Did you get any feeling from...
they said no.
They said no.
Well, I know.
That's a pretty strong feeling.
That's all I got.
Well, hopefully maybe other people can, especially we'll see how it goes this summer, maybe other people in the community are going to have comments about that.
Do the beach clubs use the same, do you know?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. But I don't know, I'm not part of those beach clubs. And the dredging, I pointed out to the selectmen that the quote dredging that was quoted to have been done when Ms. Riemsnyder was here is not dredging, and as Don said, it just removes a lot of leaves and all, because the prevailing winds seem to bring everything right to the dock area and the beach area. So, and it was suggested by Don that he put in $150,000 for next year's capital to put towards this, and another 150, and then you go out and get some bids. This was just one company that was just doing as a courtesy to the town that is located, Shahaki and Sons, came over and spoke to us about that, which we thank them very much. We're not at the bid stage, but just to give us a general idea of what it would cost. And they came up with the figure, everybody got that too at one point, of very approximate, $300,000. But that was not allowed into the budget either. But we really should dredge that, because I know I came to this community 28 years ago, and you used to be able to swim. The water was up to your shoulders at least, or higher, and back then we had swim lessons. My kids were certified Red Cross, whatever the Red Cross certification is, swimmers, because I know we've been looking into having swim lessons somewhere else, but it would be nice to have it there if we could, if we did a dredging and made it nicer. Because I think you'll probably find that most people that have kids in this community, as we did a long time ago, jumped at the opportunity of having swim lessons for your kids. And it was, I don't know, it might have been a very nominal fee that we paid as a parent to have it done.
And can I just ask, John, when you got feedback on that budget item, was it similar to the goose money in that they wanted more information?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
probably gonna talk about it with the Survey Monkey stuff.
Yeah. That was what I gathered, but I just wanted to confirm.
Okay. All right. So, I guess we'll just remind them that Park and Rec is very much in favor of having Public Works buy this machine. And like I said, after a few years, you pay for itself compared to getting $22,000 or whatever it was for just one beach.
Where do they dump the stuff once they get it
Take
in?
it away, I don't know where it is.
Okay.
The people who did it for us previously took it to the Public Works, the landfill.
Landfill?
Okay. So, Ryan or Missy, you'd like to comment on that part of our discussion?
No, I mean, I've
Aye.
already expressed my support of getting that machine.
Yes. Missy?
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. Yeah, same as last time.
Yeah, I think at the last meeting, everyone agreed that the consensus was, we didn't take a vote on it, but the consensus was everyone on Park and Rec agrees that this would be a good idea. Okay. Next one, fees for out-of-town groups for park usage. Winnie, did you get any information on that at all? I think maybe.
You're talking about the pickleball?
Well, we got some information, but just a general discussion. There are more people trying to use our facilities now, in particular at Towers Park. The Shoreline Sting softball organization is looking to use the facility, and Crush baseball organization is looking to use Towers Park facility. We haven't got to the pickleball yet, but the Shoreline Sting and the Crush situations, they're not all O-line and line kids there. It's a mixture. And I have told them both that, and we've let them use it before, the Shoreline Sting a little bit here and there. I told them I need to hear from Little League first to find out how much they're going to use it. We have it on Sundays, which I don't think will interfere with these folks. And I told them we need roster information as to how many people. And I think in both cases, less than half the roster will be kids from line 101. So, because it seems to be continuing and getting more and more, we need probably some written policies on all this stuff and how it's going to work.
Yeah. Yes, and
There should be fees involved, if it's, allowable or whatever.
yeah, and we don't want anything to happen like we had that fiasco with down at the Little League fields and several years back.
These right now, these are just teams that want to practice somewhere once or twice a week.
Oh, okay, all right.
Anything like that.
And we're Winnie and Don, do we know what other communities do when people want to use, like somebody in East Lyme, some organization wants to use their fields?
From what I've seen, typically they have to pay to use the facilities.
Oh, sure, they should. But, that, because we don't want, say with the pickleball courts, we don't want so many organizations using it that just the regular people that live here want to go down and play, and they won't be able to play because there'll be too many other people signed up to use those things. We want the citizens of the community to be really prioritized on using our facilities.
What's going to happen is with something like Shoreline Sting or the Crush baseball,
Yeah,
they're going to say, the lacrosse club isn't all lineman or line kids.
right,
That's what they're going to say.
Yeah.
right.
Because that's
And we
true.
don't charge them to play at Town Woods.
Right.
We just hope for reciprocity with other towns and other
Which
leagues and stuff like that.
there is with Old Saybrook
Right,
at least.
right, that we've fought that battle and seemingly have made progress on that.
Right.
But that's what these guys are probably gonna say.
Yeah, but they have no fields to offer so that it's shared.
Well, I just don't
Well-
know yet where else they're playing or practicing.
Yeah, what, Ryan, you were gonna say something?
Well, right. I was just going to say what Don just said is, does this put the commission and Don in the middle of having to figure out where all the other kids are from? What if they're drawing one kid from Norwich, one from Essex? How are you going to divvy up? The thing with lacrosse is it's pretty much roughly 30% from 3 different areas, right?
You're right.
With these other teams that are much smaller, possibly single teams that are a roster of maybe 10 to 12 kids, there's no way to play that game. Right? I mean, the fee thing to me is a totally valid idea to just make it fair for everyone.
With the priority that citizens of this community are
Right,
the top priority.
right.
Right. Okay, if we could find out what maybe some other communities charge. I think East Lyme maybe charges something. That would be good. Winning
The
and,
nice parks, Clinton and East Lyme.
Yeah,
So many towns don't have any.
a while ago. So we'll have to look back. We printed some stuff off. I haven't looked.
yeah, and let's everybody realize, right now, these guys are getting crushed.
I
With
know.
Winnie and Don, with the summer coming up and all the programs that they've put together, so many additional programs in the past year that we understand that you don't have a whole lot of time to be doing this, but
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially like $50 an hour, $75 an hour is typically what towns will charge.
yeah, that sounds reasonable,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well,
If we can accommodate them, if they can be
Right. I
accommodated.
think the time is here that we need a policy on this stuff that describes all of this stuff.
So if we just get an idea what a couple other communities do, we can just use their plan, kinda, of what their rule is for this, and then incorporate it here and put it on the website. Right?
Yeah, because there's no policy about this stuff now.
No, we don't have a policy about this.
And that would be for everyone with out of town, including lacrosse, isn't it? Same thing?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Does it apply now to a lacrosse club? Or do we make a decision and say, oh no, they're sharing facilities, so they're only using our facilities approximately a third of the time?
Yeah, and the other argument comes besides the lacrosse argument is that at least for town woods fields, that was supported by 450 and 500,000 steep grants way back when. Well, by the way, Town Woods Park, the opening of the first 3 fields, be 20 years old, September 19th. And September 19th of this year, it was 20 years ago, we opened the first 3 multi-purpose fields. And of course, that was an evolving situation, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, but 20 years ago. So anyway, that's just a sidelight, but I think it's been that long? Oh, God.
Well, what can we do to help? To help?
Well, it's gonna go into the pickleball discussion too, if you want to maybe.
Oh, is that going to be on the new business, baby? Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, okay, all right, yeah, why don't you talk about what's going on with the pickleball and
It's
how
about
this...
other people, it's about non-residents using our facilities. That's what we're talking about right now. Right?
So, yeah.
I thought it was the senior center people that are residents.
Well, so
That's what we're gonna talk about, Bob. There are gonna be non-residents using our pickleball courts.
Right, you can't have anybody there checking to find out.
Right, we're not policing it. So we use an app called Team Reach, and that's typically what pickleball groups do. They use Team Reach to get the word out there about schedules, and people can sign up to play through Team Reach. So we started a Park and Rec group and put it out there that it would be for residents only, and there was some pushback because typically most communities open it up to residents and non-residents. And there was some pushback from non-residents to say, you're being very unfriendly, not allowing non-residents to come and play.
We don't do that we never had to worry about that with our tennis courts, right? I mean.
Well, this is the difference. If you go down to Cross Lane and play tennis, pickleball, or basketball, any time of the day, nobody says anything because it's not policed. You could be from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So we put a specific time for open play, and they want to be invited to that.
So there's kind of three things that are available. Anybody can go, like I can go down with three of my friends, and we can go play pickleball whenever we want. We're also having open play from 10 to 12 and 6 to 8 every single day of the week. And that's where, we could open it up to, we may not have enough residents to fill 4 courts, so we would want to open it up to non-residents. Non-residents want to use the courts, they want to come and play. And then we also have clinics, and those would be open to residents. If it didn't get filled by residents, then we invite non-residents.
And could we have it such that, because we have 4 pickleball courts, that, I'm just throwing this idea out, can we make sure that 2 would always be for residents and 2 might be for other organizations?
So we're not policing it, and it's just about how are we marketing it? Are we marketing it, right now we're marketing it just for residents, but we could open it up to residents and non-residents.
Another thing involving this pickleball stuff. In the spring and in the summer, Cross Lane Park is pretty busy every day with Little League baseball and softball.
Right.
It's a very small parking lot.
Right.
And the 6 to 8 things could become a problem with parking if it was a busy time, because the parking lot's full every night.
For baseball season.
Yeah, once they get going.
Yeah.
It's going to be a problem down the road.
Yeah, okay, well, I think maybe this is something that, you guys are going to come up with some ideas, and maybe at the next meeting we could come back and talk about not to have it policed, but how best to regulate it such that other out-of-town groups don't push residents out of this ability to play on
Which
those.
typically, like I said, other communities do it that way, where they allow residents and non-residents, and it's not typically a problem. It doesn't get, filled by non-residents, so residents aren't able to play.
I guess what I'm saying is
It really enhances.
if there's a pickleball league that is not made up of our residents, I think we better be very careful about saying you can have your league play here.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen, the pickleball courts in Saybrook Main Street has a nice little parking lot there, and only the 2 courts, 3, whatever it is.
There are 3 courts.
3 courts there.
Yes.
There's no Little League field next to it where there's another 60 kids playing softball and baseball.
Right.
Parking is going to be a problem at Cross Lane Park.
Yeah, and I think...
And they're going to be parking in the firehouse, and that's going to create a bigger problem.
It's gonna be a
The
disaster.
fire department and the police are going to get involved. It's going to be a problem.
Okay, and so how do we mitigate that problem?
Can they park at Mile Creek and walk down? I mean, Mile Creek has tons of parking.
At
Right?
the school?
The school?
Yeah.
If it was, I don't know if it's lighted, but if light is an issue, but it's not far of a
The
walk.
softball people actually do that. They park up there and walk across.
You could suggest it for pickleball parking.
I'm just throwing it out there. I think parking is going to be a problem. It is sometimes now with this Little League.
I don't think there's any legal reason we have to open it up this is just my opinion, I'm not an expert on it, to out-of-town people, whereas with Town Woods Park, because of the steep grant, that's stipulated that,
I think, I don't know the exact details, but I think Cross Lane Park was built and funded in part by state money.
it was? Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was.
I don't think it was called a steep grant at that time, I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that there was state money involved with that.
Okay, well, that was before my time, and before probably a lot of us here, before we moved into the community, how many years ago?
So I guess I would say that it depends on how many residents respond and how full the courts are. If we haven't done it before with it open.
See, we're not monitoring how many people are gonna play.
Yeah, so we're just offering this open play.
So-
We're not, and whoever
If you didn't
shows
offer
up,
op-
they have to figure it out.
If you didn't offer open play, they could just come and play anyway.
Yeah.
So,
But it's like an individual who, does not have 3 other people to play with.
Yeah.
They can go to this and they have somebody to play with.
It's mostly what you do when you're.
Is this something that we'll just have to play it by ear and see how it evolves, and if it really
Yeah,
becomes a parking problem, then we're gonna,
Right, I'm just telling you, what
Yeah.
could be happening. How many people are involved with the Team Reach thing with pickleball?
Well, so there was somebody that started a Cross Lane pickleball group, Team Reach group, and there's like 360 people in it. We have we started our own, and there's, and these people are from all over.
Oh, my God.
And the
They
courts
won't-
are busy, but they're not, I don't think it's a
I mean,
problem
not
yet.
all those folks are coming down here.
No,
to play.
and pickleball courts are popping up everywhere, so, they have a lot of other places to play. And then our pickleball Team Reach has 65, something like that, members.
I agree, Don, this will be a problem, especially with parking, because remember, I don't know, it's still, parking's a problem anyway, with just without these pickleball courts arriving here, when for Little League Baseball, it parked everywhere. And, they still do that, we blocked them off a little bit, so they can't park down by where the baseball fields are, right?
Right, we blocked them off in a lot of areas, but there's still a lot of cars there. Good for them, they got a good thing going, so good for them. They're down there every night.
Yeah, I know.
I just feel sorry for the mother and father driving up with the 4 kids in the car and they can't find a parking place. I mean, is there any way to, post on this app the hours that could be more difficult to park?
If you read it, yes, we
Yeah,
could
read
say from the hours of 6 to 10, or 6 to 9, whatever, however, for sunset, you need to park at the school. Because
Okay. Okay, so let's have more ideas and thoughts for the next meeting to maybe fine tune this a little bit. Okay? I already talked about the summaries of the Haynes Park improvements 2012 to 2024, which all the commissioners received. Is there any other new business?
Yes.
Okay, go
2
ahead.
points. First, the monkey, Survey Monkey. Thank you.
Survey,
survey.
what is Survey Monkey? What is it?
Okay, so.
It's a monkey.
It's a monkey.
We're surveying monkey, we have geese, so we go.
Yeah. So during the Monday Board of Selectmen meeting, when you presented, Martha raised, and I had heard about it a little bit ahead of time.
Yes.
The request of the selectmen to do a survey of the town population to understand what people use Haynes Park for, what they'd like to use Haynes Park for. I think it was spurred a little bit by the dredging discussion because it's a large sum of money. So do people see a benefit to dredging? Would they use the park for swim lessons and things like that? And I think there's someone named Cheryl. I don't know the last name yet. I talked to
Yes.
Martha briefly yesterday, but who has done these surveys, I think.
Oh, yeah, I heard about
respect to the
Cheryl,
Hall
yes.
Park. They got like 1,700 responses. There's postcards that can go out.
And she's a volunteer, too. We don't have, because I asked Martha, do we have to pay for this survey people?
I think Cheryl's a volunteer, or she works at the town. I'm not sure who,
Yeah.
but I know there's an expense.
It's Cheryl Poirier. She used.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Missy.
Sorry, I
What?
interrupted you, but she used to work for the town, and now she does like a lot of different things. She made that. She like had a lot to do with the website, and like that Explore Old Lyme website was all hers, and she's very involved. So I think that's who you're talking about. Poirier.
How do you spell it?
Poirer. Poirer.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yes, and I did ask, okay, because is she a volunteer, and what would this cost the town? And I got the idea that she's a volunteer, but of course, if you're gonna have a survey, somebody's gotta pay for this survey.
Yeah, so what Martha mentioned was also that some $30,000 that was put into the budget for July, there's some money that is presumed to be able to be drawn on. And I'm fully supportive of doing a survey, notwithstanding that the meetings of the HPEC, as of last year until now, were open to the public and posted, and people could have sent emails, but I also recognize the value of gauging public interest. I don't think it should be dispositive of what we view as a commission to be the most beneficial enhancements,
Right.
as recommended by the committee. However, I do recognize that people have been asking about what we plan to do at the park, and I'm happy to work with Cheryl to develop a list of questions to try to gauge
Right.
this thing. But I did say to Martha, I do not want the survey to pace progress on these other things, and
Right.
she agreed. So if it's money that's in July, and we have to wait till July to do the survey, it's not going to stall our efforts,
Right, and we
including
don't-
with respect to goose mitigation.
And we don't want a lot of this money going towards a survey. I mean, really.
No, I agree. It sounded like
We want
there
the
was separate
enhancement,
money.
this money to go either towards security cameras, as I mentioned before, or other enhancements. We don't want, if it can be done for a good price or whatever, that we can consider it. And of course, if there are survey questions formulated by whatever group it is, it has to all come through here so we can provide input too, because it's a park, and we're responsible for the management, control, development of the recreational facilities, 20-8, it's a ordinance.
Right.
And all expenditures associated with that.
Yes.
So.
That's a great segue, if I can, to the next quick thing, I think.
Quick, good.
Which is, you mentioned the commission. So the final recommendation that was in the Haynes Park report was that the Haynes Park Enhancement Committee, that its mission and charge, at the discretion of this commission, be expanded to include assistance and oversight of the implementation of park enhancements ultimately adopted by the commission. This would help facilitate and ensure execution of the enhancements in a timely fashion. I'd like to urge the commission to consider enabling the subcommittee to, I don't think it was ever dissolved formally, so it would really just be expanding its charge to do the things that you said.
The charge was that in approximately 6 months to come up with a lot of these recommendations.
Which we did.
A beautiful report and presentation. I think that's fine. I think you should ask your committee members if they're interested in still doing this.
Yes, I have. Right.
And so you're interested, Marielle?
I'll go either way.
Okay, I know Phil wants to try and get away from all this, but you can ask him.
I will ask him. And the reason I say it now especially is because not only is there a lot of more work to do in the near term that I think these stakeholders could help with, but also like the survey, right? We're kind of in this critical moment to keep that momentum going forward, and I just don't want to exclude the cross-section community volunteers who are able to give support to get these things across the line.
Yeah, okay.
And so I just wanted to bring that forward, and if I can make a motion or whatever.
Or a consensus, and how about Terry Lewis? Did you talk to her about?
Yeah, I reached out to Terry. I wasn't able to hear back in time for the meeting.
Okay, well, I think that's the first thing to do, is reach out to the current people, or the people who are on this committee, and see if they have interest. And basically, I think the consensus is that if you guys want to do this work and help out, that's great, as long as you just come and report
Okay.
to the commission. Or even if it's only a few of you, not all of
Right,
them.
like with the survey, for example. I just want
Yeah.
to feel like it wouldn't be going outside the lines to send emails to the group and whoever's able to respond and help, even if we're not having formal meetings.
Yeah.
Just to get ideas on what the questions should be.
Yeah,
or,
because
Yeah.
you may want to make sure that the people that were on that commission are willing to go along with this. Not the commission, the
Yeah.
Subcommittee.
Yeah.
subcommittee.
Yeah.
The only one I would be wondering would be Terry.
Yeah, and I know Phil probably would help out a little bit, but he travels a lot, and he wants,
Really helpful.
Yeah.
he's very helpful, but he's not always around, he travels a lot too.
Right.
Does he live in Old Lyme?
Yes,
So he is a resident.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, okay, so why don't you look at, is everybody at the table here saying this is fine, if they want to help out, we're always looking for help, what do you think? Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean,
Yeah?
We don't really call it put it back together, just
We're
become
not-
active again? How do I word that?
Yeah.
Become,
Or just some individuals from this would like to work on some of
Right.
these? Yeah, how about that? Some individuals from the subcommittee that may want to work on certain parts of this. Say somebody might want to work on a survey,
Yeah.
and somebody maybe doesn't want to work on,
Yes. I feel like that's how it's going to come together. More piecemeal than collective.
right.
And more informal than formal.
Yeah, because everybody has other lives besides doing all this meetings. And as you said, isn't it fun being a chair? It is sometimes. Okay, all right, so Mary Ellen, you good with that?
I think so.
Yeah, I think the consensus is to find out,
I
who,
have to get indication from subcommittee members if they wish to continue to work together as like an as needed.
it'd be just that, yeah, an adjunct type group, not, I mean,
Yeah.
you guys were given initially official thing that we wanted to see, which you produced wonderful report in November.
Thanks for Greg.
Okay, next one, correspondence. I didn't receive any correspondence other than the one from the select people to present this past Monday that just passed. No, nothing else really. Public comment. We have one person in the audience, Greg Hack.
Yeah, if I could briefly, Bob, great meeting. Great to hear all the progress and thoughtful comments about it. Just two quick things. One is about the pavilion base. We did talk about that a lot during our HPEC meetings.
Yes.
And we were back and forth on whether we recommended going ahead with the pavilion or not. We thought it was a very good idea.
Yes.
So the whole notion of the semi-permeable base was, we just wanted to avoid paving the whole park. I'm exaggerating a little bit. We want to try to keep it as natural looking as possible.
Yes.
I understand the need for ADA compliance and all of that, but if there's some way to try to make it look as natural as possible without a concrete base, I think
You don't,
that's what we're trying.
did you ever see the stamped concrete? It looks very nice at Haynes Park, Town Woods Park. Take a look.
And doesn't it come in colors? Don't you have it?
Yes, you can have it tinted, so it doesn't just look like concrete. Take a look, please, because if you have a roof, you don't really need a semi-permeable base, and to be ADA compliant, you need a solid base of some sort.
Okay.
And you also need a base for a pavilion that anchors it.
Okay, so thank you. So the other thing was to do with dredging. Now, we mentioned that, I think, as a down the road possibility. I mean, I think it seems like it's a great thing to do. It's a huge expense, but it seems to me that that shouldn't be a consideration until the goose mitigation and all that is completely under control. No one's going to want to swim there, whether it's dredged or not, until that is under control. And it seems to me, again, when we had a conversation, I don't know how the permitting works and all that, I imagine it's pretty complicated. But $300,000 for the town today is a big nut. And if that could be achieved through a grant through the state as well as source, rather than it being on the town budget, it seems like that would be very good.
Well, that's what, Martha, we did talk about that, if we could get a grant to help out with that. And apparently, she's gonna see if we can get somebody to help get a grant on that. Now, and the other thing about swimming in the lake, the quality of correct me if I'm wrong, Don, the quality of the water isn't really flagged until really as much at the end of the summer when the lake gets more shallow, and that's when it kind of comes up when they do the weekly.
The weekly tests, and when the water's down, it gets worse.
Right.
Or after a hard rain, it gets worse as well, because it stirs everything up.
Right. Oh boy, hard rain. We've had that.
But we haven't had a bad test in a long time.
Right. Right. Yeah. But just generally speaking, the negative tests come up more
Yeah.
at the end of the summer.
And after a heavy rain, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I mentioned to the select people too. I didn't mention the heavy rain part, but I did
It
mention.
just stirs it up.
Yeah. Okay. Greg, thank you for those comments. Greg, do you know anybody, grant writers for things like this from the rowing community?
I'm sorry, what was
Do you have any ideas of anyone to contact that could help to secure grants for something like dredging?
certainly asked about it.
Could reach out to Harbor Commission. I know they've done, theirs was, ocean water.
Terry's pretty knowledgeable about that.
Yeah, Terry would know, yeah, and that would be good. We can talk about that some more at the next meeting, but that would be good
A
to,
few years ago, they dredged part of Blackhall River and
Right.
Long River.
And but then they had like a couple 100,000 left over, and then they...
and years ago, when Roger Zito was on this committee, he always wanted the pond down by Mile Creek School, Cross Lane, I meant. We had dredging done there by the Magnet Group.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been done here
Didn't
before.
make it any deeper, just cleaned it out and got rid of the lily pads, but they just grow back in a year.
That's
Right.
the thing, it's something that has to be done often, not just once every 35 years.
The dredging's a good idea, but it would be nice to get some grant money to help out, so the taxpayers don't take the full load. Because that is a big number. But we did something similar with the tennis courts and the new pickleball court and the basketball court at Cross Lane. That money was collected over 3 years, right, Tom? Okay. I think we're done. Does anybody agree
I think so.
to adjourn?
I move
Okay.
to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, yes, second?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor? Oh, any discussion first? No? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye. Okay. Anyone opposed? No? Abstain? Nope. Okay, well, thank you all, and it's about is it 7:35 about?
32.
Yeah, 7:32.
Okay, that's when we're adjourning.